CJ here, your favorite scuba diver with Deep South Divers. We got a phone call from Paul, that's him on the dock right there, about his boat Sparrow. We'll crawl underneath the dock here and come check out the bottom of Sparrow. She's a 44-foot sailing cat, a beautiful vessel. And you can see she's pretty chiggered up there in certain spots. That's underneath of her keel. Paul had a diver working for him for years, and he just quit and didn't even let anybody know. And so consequently, this boat's been sitting for probably 4 months in very warm water in St. Simons, Georgia. And Paul has decided to haul her out and have her repainted. And you can see why, the paint's real ruddy. But he needs to get there. And his sailing drives here, sail drives, are pretty much concreted. You see there's vent holes there that sucks in water and cools the engine. And if those vent holes are grown over, concreted over like you see here, well, he ain't going anywhere. Here's the rudder. So he called me up. He said, "Hey, I need you to deconcrete my boat so that I can bring her to haul out and get her hauled out and get her painted." So you see, I don't want to clean the whole boat. I mean, she's going to get hauled out, and they're going to pressure wash her and clean her up, and then they're going to sand her and paint her and do all that. So there's no sense in him paying me to do the whole boat, but she does have to get there, and it's a few hundred miles away, going to St. Augustine. So I'm kind of cruising around down here now and looking around and seeing exactly how much needs to be done. Let me cruise over to the port side here, floating through the water, and you can see the current's running good. It's about a 2-knot current. You see the bottoms of the rudders and the bottoms of the keels have touched bottom before. It's grinding what little paint is there, grinding that off. And you can see that the port side sail drive there is no better than the starboard side was. Holes are completely clogged over, and this rubber boot here at the top of the sail drive, I need to chisel that stuff off without harming the rubber boot. Alright, Paul said yes, so let's get on it and get all the moving parts clean. We won't go nuts on the bottom cleaning, but we definitely need to chisel some of the stuff out. Give her some efficiency and make sure that he doesn't spend too much money on fuel getting there. My objective is to save him enough fuel that it at least pays for my dive. That's not a hard stretch. I just got to do a good job of making sure that the moving parts are clean here. So of course I'm starting on some of the fasteners that are on the rudder, getting all in the cracks of the rudder there. He couldn't even turn the helm. He couldn't even move these rudders. They were just concreted in. So I'll get all that stuff out of there. Now you're looking through a camera that I've got sitting on my mast with a pair of lights, one on each side of the camera. It does a real fine job, especially when it's set in super wide mode. And the tool that I'm using there is a Purdy 6-in-1 stainless steel scraper with a bolt snap tied to the back of it with a cave knot. So pretty specific on the tools. I want to make sure that everything goes well. This job ended up taking about 3 hours or so. So the customer gets a good deal. The boat is functional and fairly efficient after I'm done, and I didn't do work that was unnecessary, given the fact that he's going to haul out and have her power washed and cleaned up and sanded and painted. So here I am working on one of the sail drives. You can see I've already cleaned off the sail drive itself, the housing of the sail drive, and now I'm in on these props. A lot of times a sailboat will have sail drives with what they call composite props, which is really just a type of plastic prop. These are actually metal props. I think they're actually aluminum. But you can see that barnacles and stuff really stick to it. So the gloves that I'm wearing there are super protective gloves. They are cut resistant and abrasion resistant. And they do a real fine job of protecting my hands, even though these barnacles are sharp, sharp, sharp. Those gloves are Ansell 11-947s. Relatively inexpensive gloves, and they are fantastic for doing what we do. I've got a bunch of different favorites, well, a handful of different favorites from different manufacturers, but when I'm cleaning barnacles and oysters that are this encrusted and I'm just sitting there banging away like this for a few hours, I really like those Ansells. So keep in mind, this is going to be hauled out and painted and sandblasted, sanded, Fresh paint's going to go on. I really need to get things smooth. Pretty isn't the concern at this point. Fuel efficiency is. So you see that even though it's a metal prop, and I think, like I said, I think it's an aluminum prop, the cone on it there is composite. That's a plastic cone. Typical sail drives are sort of a unique beast. Those things were so encrusted with barnacles that, I mean, if he had spun them, the motors would have overheated because they wouldn't have been able to suck any water. But also they, the props wouldn't have gone anywhere. They couldn't get a bite out of the water because they were so encrusted. His fuel efficiency would have been terrible if he could have moved at all. This current to this day was really running, and I doubt that he could have put her in gear and actually made headway against the current. That's how encrusted these props were. So you see there that I'm using a variety of different handholds. Sometimes I'm dragging towards, sometimes I'm knifing it, stabbing it. And again, I'm not trying to go crazy, but I do need smooth props, right? You see, they used to be painted. They used to have black paint on the props as well. But nice and clean. That's an efficient prop that can bite into the water a little bit. I also went through all the through hulls, making sure that his toilet's flushed and his air conditioner worked, that his speed wheel worked, and that his transducer, for depth sounder, that would all work. And then the last thing I did really was just kind of clean up the bottoms of the keels. These keels have touch bottom here and there, and so the paint is really thin on them. So they really get encrusted bad. But really, I covered him for most of the major work, and the rest is just cosmetic. He can he can get that cleaned up when she gets hauled out. I mean, he's got to pay for that anyway, so it's free service with the haul out. Love doing this kind of work in the middle of nowhere, solving a problem. St. Simons, Georgia, about halfway between Jacksonville and Savannah, Georgia. You see there, I'm checking to see if that's an oyster base, and it's not. I don't know what it is, but it's smooth, so I'm not going to worry about it. It may be some sort of epoxy repair. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.